Hello and welcome to Brew Babes podcast. My name is Danielle. I am your host for the day, also known as Sassy Cider Chick online. Please follow me. I did lose my social media last year and had to start over. So if you haven't already follow me on everything because I got hacked and I had to start over. But with me today, a little shameless plug there for myself. With me today is the event goddess, my beer life mate, Kat Jones. I am so happy to see you back. How are you doing, my love?
It's been a very long week, but I'm doing all right. We're getting right through it. Spending the day in sunny St. Pete, as you can tell by all the cloud coverage. Um, yeah, it's good to be back out and about, and it's so good to be podcasting with you again this week.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I am so happy to see you back. I did see you briefly over the weekend, and that was very nice. You know, sometimes bad circumstances bring people together, and that did get to do that this weekend. So I was happy to be able to be there and give you a big hug. We do not have Taylor today. And
Okay.
it is not traumatic. You know, last week we had to, we were missing you and we went through all of that. Taylor's just busy. Yeah, no worry, no big tragedies, traumatic events. Taylor is just, she's super busy. She is building her own little empire of astrology and putting together really great markets for all different businesses. But she especially does like some oddities markets and some women based markets. She's got a couple of those going on this week. And so she's just too busy to stop to talk about beer. And
I'm so proud of her. She's doing so good.
I am too. I don't know if you saw, it's at Sky Puppy on Friday,
Mm,
is the Femme Nocturne, market. It is, definitely for, badass women out there. She will be doing astrology readings, but there's a ton of other really cool stuff. It's from 7 to 10 tonight. It's from 7 to 10 this week,
Friday night,
Friday
right?
at Sky Puppy. I'm gonna go. I love supporting all of you guys when I can. I do happen to get off work at 5 o'clock on Friday, so I am going to make the trek to Sky Puppy
I love that.
and see her. So anyone else who's out,
Having such a vibe.
yeah, I haven't been to Sky Puppy yet.
I want you to get your phone out and when you walk in, just record your audio experience. That place is wild. And we were anticipating them opening for so long. And Matt and Danielle did an amazing job. It's so beautiful. And the beer's so good, but literally it's so beautiful.
Yeah,
It's an old firehouse that they completely renovated.
I have seen the pictures and that's it. We actually, me and Alex did go there at one point, but they were not open yet. It was in the middle of the week. We happened to find ourselves in Ybor and we were like, "Oh, let's stop by if they're open." And they weren't open. And I have not been able to get back there. And so I not only am I excited to, support our,
Like,
it does help that it is at a brewery that honestly I've not heard anything but amazing things about. And I have not been there, so I cannot wait to go and check out the brewery as well as support our girl.
yeah. Bonus points. They're really cool people there. So we love that.
I'm super excited about that. So obviously we had a lot of stuff going on this week that, we don't need to go back into and things like that. I did not have any real big events this week, which is actually quite not normal for me.
Yeah.
Normally I'm like,
No, I absolutely feel that energy so much. Oh, I don't have a place that I absolutely have to be and do absolutely everything for. That's
yeah,
great.
I was like, so where was I this week? Work. That's all I did. I worked. That was it. I do have a couple really cool things. We are soft opening at Unrefined and Dunedin this week. So super excited.
Very
I
fun.
will only be there on Thursday. Unfortunately, I do work at other places over the weekend. And then we'll, be working out a more permanent schedule as we go. So the Kentucky Derby is also on Saturday. And
Is it?
yeah, and I'll be at Commerce, which they're not really doing a thing for,
Right.
but
For the big hat energy people, yeah.
yeah, I was prepared with a big Kentucky Derby hat. So I may just go. I may just wear one anyway. So if you'd like to see me in a nice Kentucky Derby Fascinator on Saturday, come watch the Derby at Commerce Brewing because I'll put it on. Well, why not?
I mean, what a good excuse to drink a Kentucky Mule, in my
He,
opinion.
yeah,
That's all I wanna do.
right.
That's why people derby, right? It's just for the mules.
I want to wear pants.
Watch the horses drink the mules. I think
That's it, and wear
that should
funny
be a
hats.
t-shirt.
Like that's
Yeah,
it. So yeah, so I will be working, and you'll be working. Are you guys doing anything for the Kentucky Derby?
absolutely not. Like, I'm shocked that it's this weekend. We probably should.
You know,
Gulfport's not really, like,
you're
Kentucky
not
Derby
Kentucky Derby.
people
So I was born and raised in Newport
inspired.
Richey, and in Newport Richey we have breweries, and it's a downtown, and these people will literally find any reason to do a pub crawl.
Yeah. Oh, we're definitely pub crawl people in
Yeah.
Gulfport, don't get me wrong, but yeah, we did this past weekend, we did a romp, not we, I didn't participate, but there was a romp
Like
brew
the
crawl going
Miss
on.
Roper kind of thing.
Yes, yes, sorry, romper, I don't know. There's a bunch of people in red curly wigs and ridiculous hippie outfits.
Yes.
So yeah, we love a pub crawl. Any excuse to have a good time,
Well,
we're there for it.
someone should tell Gulfport that the Kentucky Derby is a good pub crawl day, because everybody gets to wear funny hats and pub crawl. And then and all like every yeah, right, just let everybody know down there, because Newport Richey's been doing this for several years, and
Okay. Well, then go to Newport Richey. Like, don't come down to Gulfport. Go there. Yeah, they got a thing going already.
yeah, so that is going on this week, and I will not be there for that. I'll be at Commerce over in Largo, but it's really cool. I love horses, so it's just a really cool thing. But the big thing that came out this week is the National Brewers Association. They do this every year, but they put out a list of the 50. This is on production, by the way. So this is the 50 breweries, craft breweries across the nation that have the largest production numbers. Sales kind of vary because people have different, sales points. Someone may sell, a lager for $6, someone might sell it for 10. So it's hard to do it based on sales. And let's face it, the easiest thing to know is production because we all get taxed on production. It is one of the only industries in the entire industry of all industries that gets taxed on what they produce. So what happens is every single drop of beer that you produce, you do have to tell some government agency because you have to pay a tax on it. Luckily, I'm in the marketing and t-shirt business, and I don't have to do that. Nobody cares how many t-shirts I make. They only care how much money I make.
Can we just talk? Hold on. Can we just talk about how ridiculous tax on beer is? Just for like, can I have on this? Like, can I have just like a 10-second rant of
Yeah.
how ridiculous this is? We get tax on our ingredients.
Yes.
Oh, first of all, we have to be in a spot.
Hmm.
Whether you own that property and pay taxes on that property, or you rent that property and pay taxes for the property and whatnot, bills and all the things. Then we have raw ingredients, which we're taxed on. Then we have the amount of barrels that we're producing, which we get taxed on. Then, if you're lucky enough to own a tap room, and you sell your beer there, you also have to go from literally the walk-in to the tap room and pay taxes. And if you don't have that, then you have to send it to a distributor, which is what we do in Gulfport. We don't brew on site; we brew off site. Even though we have our own brewer, we're not contract brewing.
Right.
Contract brewing also gets taxed BT dubs like 3 times over, honestly, an extra 2 levels there. But let's just say you own your tap room, or you you have to send it to a wholesaler or retailer account. Every single you have to pay taxes to the distributor. The distributor pays taxes. Then the retailer purchases the beer and pays taxes, and then you get your beer at the bar as a consumer, and you purchase your pints and you pay taxes. So here's to the good old good old Tea Party promise.
Yeah, and
Taxes on beer is crazy.
it's an insane amount of taxes, and people go, "Well, there's taxes on everything." But normally in the production process, your raw materials are not taxed, but in beer they are. Normally your production is not taxed. So if I produce 100 t-shirts, nobody cares. If I produce a million t-shirts, nobody cares. They don't care until I sell them. But that's not true in beer. You have to pay for every drop you produce, you have to pay a tax. Then you have to pay a tax to just to sell it. Now you have to say, "Oh, okay, well, now I want to sell it, so I have to pay, that kind of tax." It's one of the only industries when people are like, I can get a 6-pack in the grocery store.
I was literally just about to say, don't be mad about a $7 pint at a
Yeah,
brewery, $8 pint at a brewery. Like, we pay so much money, we don't make that much money.
right. The actual money made on that by the time you pay your employees, pay all the taxes, pay all the overhead.
Oh yeah, then you have labor and employees and your salesperson who
Yeah,
sells your beer into your favorite
yeah,
restaurants has to get a little cut
yep,
to make their living. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
So
wild, man.
so all of a sudden you're making like 17 cents per pint.
Yeah.
And then,
So it better be good.
and then people are like, "Oh, I can buy so much more beer for less money." And it's like, I get that.
Yeah.
But you're paying for an experience. And that's the obviously I make fun videos and I make fun videos with my marketing clients. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're a marketer, you get to do all the fun stuff." And that is true. I get to do a lot of really, really cool, fun stuff. But what makes me effective is that I look at these reports, these, 50 biggest breweries in the nation, and I have to look for market trends. I have to look for what's selling. I have to look for, what do these numbers say? So the majority of my job is not the fun, cool videos. The majority of my job is actually quite boring and quite nerdy. And I'm literally looking through numbers. And it's one of those things that I kind of flippantly say on here where I'll say, well, 56% of the audience is now women. It used to be 41%. And that's because I had to do research, like hours and days and weeks of research, just to be able to know who my audience is to make a fun video for. So yeah, I am when we talk about beer nerds, like that's what we're talking about. It's not even like, oh, we use, Shaw hops and a Czech Pilsner. No, we have to look and say, oh, well, the market share of lagers went up to 62%. So I guess we need to make more lagers. But yeah, no, it's not as fun as it looks. We make it look glamorous. We're
Because we cute. That's because we cute or whatever.
you. I can look at these numbers and still look cute doing it.
Yeah, you can. No, it's funny that you say that. As I was running my numbers the other day, and just I am. I'm like I'm looking at I jokingly call myself the happiness on tap specialist as my title, because I pour happiness into people's lives. That's what I get to do for a living. But technically, I guess I'm like product manager. So I do our inventory, run our analytics, and stuff, and like seeing what sells the most, and constantly a competition between our light IPA and our golden ale, and like seeing what's selling the most of and what's not selling so that I don't buy it again, and for the season, for the trends, and then compare for last year. So there is actually work in it. It's not just like, oh, this looks cute, I'm gonna buy that this week, and hopefully people drink it, like it. Which a little bit of that too. Yeah, there's a lot of numbers that go into it, but I had a lot of fun looking at the list from the Brewers Association, the top 50 that they put out. I
I
thought it was
did too. I thought it was
very interesting
very interesting.
information.
Yes. And there's a couple takeaways that I took from it, but there's one thing someone on LinkedIn, and I know that this didn't go out very far, but on LinkedIn, someone mistook because they do two studies. One of the studies is the 50 top craft beers, and then the next study, which is below it, is the top 50 beer brands. And
Oh, okay.
these are not necessarily craft beers. This is just beer brands. And someone put that list out and said these are the top craft beers. And of course, the number one in there is InBev, which is Anheuser-Busch, and everyone went like, "Well, you don't know what craft beer is." No, no, no. They actually took the wrong list. There's two different lists, and so, but I did want to. There is a definition for craft beer, and
Yeah,
I think,
let's talk about that.
yeah.
I don't know what I think in my head, but I don't know that I know what I know.
So technically there's no technical like legal definition, but there's like kind of an organized, like this is what we all kind of define it as, so that like within the laws and within contract law and things like that, like this is what we can kind of say. And there's two different things that will kind of define a craft brewery. Number one is they have to make under 6 million barrels.
Hey, we're good.
6 million barrels.
We got it this year. 6 million?
6 million. Under
Did I hear you say that right?
No,
6 million?
6 million.
How many sets of zeros is that?
And it's okay. So I work at a
Sorry.
I work at a couple true nano breweries, and, like, Unrefined, I think, was at, like, 500 barrels, and I think
6
and
million.
Emerald Coast is actually even smaller than that. I think this year they're
Brewers Association
yeah,
website, 6 million? That's
that's
crazy.
just the actual definition. That's the Brewers Association,
That's
like,
funny.
like, kind of this is and the other there's 2 criteria. One, you have to be under 6 million barrels, which is like, "Okay, thanks."
Okay, cool.
Okay, which is everyone's under 6 million barrels.
Right, yeah.
But,
Sorry, that was really funny. Sorry.
6 million barrels, you have to be under 6 million barrels, and you cannot be owned no more than 25% of your company can be owned by a corporation.
More importantly,
Yeah,
yes. Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. Gotcha,
75%
gotcha.
has to be individual owned. It can be a family, it can be several individuals, but it can't be a big corporation. You can have an investor that's a corporation, but they're capped at 25%, and then you're still considered a craft brewery.
Cool.
So you're more individually owned and you're under 6 million barrels. Again, like I said, most
I mean, it's good to hear that we got 6 million beers of beer going out, I guess.
yeah.
That's great.
So that is and
I wanna do the math. Next episode, I'm gonna do the research next episode. We're gonna figure out all of the craft breweries in Florida combined,
oh, we
how many barrels that they make, and then see where that number is at combined
yeah, combined. Oh
together,
yeah,
all of them,
all of
big
it.
big guys, little guys.
Yeah.
I'm sure that that information's out there, and I'll let you know guesstimation of we can just understand how ridiculous that number.
Yeah. So, like I kind of compare it to like, okay, so Emerald Coast was at 250 barrels.
Right.
And, and unrefined, they're double at like 500 barrels.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Where if I push Jason's buttons enough, we actually just got a new tank from Cigar City,
okay.
RIP. But we got a new tank coming this next week. So if I push him a lot, we'll be at 800 barrels, like
Woof,
if I'm lucky.
you are almost a
Which is like
quadruple
honestly like
digits.
what what a larger Tampa Bay brewery in the area does like in a week.
Yeah. So yeah, and we can go up to 6 million and still be a craft brewery. So we're good. Everybody's good. So that that's what defines a craft brewery. And I want to say this before we go through the list because the number one on the list, which I know is controversial for a lot of craft breweries, a lot of beer enthusiasts find this to be controversial, and a lot of like even craft breweries kind of like, because the number one on the list is Yingling.
Anyway,
And Yingling by the definition set by the National Brewers Association, which is pretty much the standard that everybody goes by. Only, and I did look this up because I'm like, wow. I did look it up, and they are at 2.5 million barrels.
it's crazy.
And I know
It's
that,
a lot of beer.
yeah, it is a lot. It's a lot of beer.
I'm sorry, that's a lot of beer. But it's funny that you say that because I was having a conversation with one of my he's been a bartender for a very long time, but one of my newer staff at the brewery. And we were having a conversation about like craft beer and domestic beers and stuff like that. And he's like, honestly, if I was gonna pick anything, like my favorite domestic is Yingling. And I was like, it's not. It's not though. Like it's a craft. I mean, it's obviously got started in the northern, but we're so spoiled to have a Yingling here too. It was my certainly my introduction to craft beer, and I
Me
still
too.
love to drink
I
the
love
heck out of it.
I love a good
Yingling Lager, which by the way, Yingling is the brewery, but also is the brand name,
yes.
of that said beer. But it's not domestic, it's still independent. Obviously being number one. They do have the seal, if for those of you guys that don't, who aren't beer nerds, such as ourselves. The Brewers Association does have an independent craft seal, a seal of approval, because you have to meet certain requirements in order to have that seal, and you have to be a part of the Brewers Association in order to utilize the seal on your cans and marketing and stuff like that. But I thought that that was very interesting that people don't think of it as craft beer. It is still craft beer. It is still family owned.
Right.
Right behind number two.
Yeah, right behind number 2, which most people do still associate this with craft beer. And number 2 is Sierra Nevada. And Sierra Nevada boasts
God bless.
themselves as the first real craft brewery that in the nation. And again, this is what we have to put in perspective. Craft beer was not legal until 1979. Yeah. Craft beer was not legal. That's when basically what they said is that individuals can own and produce beer.
Uh,
You had to be a big corporation to produce beer before 1979.
right, 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 right.
Yeah, in 1979, Jimmy Carter changed the law, which
Little history lesson for
yeah,
the Brew
there
Babes.
you go.
Okay.
Jimmy Carter actually, he was one of the big proponents of changing the law. Regardless of your political affiliation, if you're a beer person, Jimmy Carter made it possible. But he was president at the time, and he actually made it to where you could be an individual that brewed beer and sold beer, which opened the way for home brewers, opened the way for a company like Sierra Nevada, which was family owned. And that is why we can have craft beer now. So, and that's why I always say like it's a very young industry, even
Yeah.
though literally beer,
No, it is.
yeah, beer has been produced. It is beer is one of the oldest found products in human history. Not like, oh, it's one of the first products of the US. No, human history. Like literally they found beer in ancient Egypt.
Yeah. Oh man. So obviously it's been a long week
Yes.
and I had a lot of long talks with my staff. But one night we were reminiscing about some things and I got into a very lovely, they were a little tipsy. I was just finishing my shift. I got into a very long conversation about the process of craft beer
Hmm.
and the history of craft beer and like to two non-beer drinkers. Anytime I get that opportunity
I
to
love
just like wake them up, inspire them, get them excited, like I'm gonna do that, even though it's like 1 a.m. and I really need to go home. They're asking these questions about brewing beer, and oh man, I just got so excited. And they were laughing, and they were just like, it's been a really hard week at work, so like we haven't really been laughing, and we haven't really been having fun. And what a good moment and time to just like
hmm
have this like excitement. But I was like, all right, I'm just trying to get through the brew process. They kept on asking questions, and I thought it was great. But I'm like, I'm just trying to answer your initial question, and then they ask another question, and then sweet girl Kim, she's just like, "Well, what about like the history of beer?" And I was like, "Girl, that is a whole. We got a whole nother thing. I'm just trying to get through the kettle. Like we haven't even gotten to fermentation yet." And yes, beer's been around for a very long time.
Yeah,
So side note, but I love Sierra Nevada so much.
me too.
I one of my still to this day in the beer in the fridge, always gonna have some pale ale. I thought it was really interesting. I don't know if you saw recently, I think it was only like this last week or two. Sierra Nevada has the very old school banner logo, as we all know and love. Their slogan is family, I think it's family operated and fought over, which is
More
so true to
right.
anyone who works at a family-owned craft beer. But yeah, it's such a, like, spot on slogan. But recently, I just saw, like, Ken Grossman put out a video, like a reel or whatever, saying that they have always wanted to keep the traditional packaging for their beer. However, because of all the things happening with our national parks, they want to contribute to national parks and kinda give back a little bit. So they're rebranding for a limited time their cans
Yes.
with an artist to do all of like the kind of traditional, those beautiful, like, I don't know, Art Deco
Yeah,
kind of style, traditional national park posters. I thought that was really cool.
that's awesome.
Keep an eye out in the market because I know I'm gonna be searching for them too.
And those are cans to keep.
Those are kids, oh, collector's items,
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
Drink
No,
the beer, clean the can, put a little succulent in there.
exactly. Yeah. No, I know. If you're a plant person, that's what we do. That's what we do with our collectible beer cans. No, so I thought that was obviously Sierra Nevada is awesome. And I will say, because we're spoiled. We have Yingling being produced right here in the Tampa Bay area. They do so many events, markets, and all these other really, really cool events. Everyone should take a page.
Their location is
Oh, I
insane.
know.
Like
It's
it's
amazing.
beautiful.
Yes. It's so cool. And I think that more people need to actually like listen, these lists are great. And if you're a brewery owner, like look at the list and who's making it and why. And I will say Yingling is still doing events. They're still a community center.
They're very active in their
Yeah,
community, and they have, because they're so successful, even if they weren't, but because they're so successful, they're able to host and to contribute so
so
much
much.
to the communities.
Yeah.
And yes, you might say, yeah, Yingling Center contributing to your community, but like, how amazing is it for you to, like, grow your business that big
Yes.
and be able to do that? Like, that's an amazing thing, and if it gets people drinking more craft beer,
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
me
I'll
too.
support the heck out of them.
No, I love them. The people that are over in the Tampa one, I mean, I'm sure you've met them too. Amazing,
Yeah, amazing,
amazing
amazing
people.
human beings,
Yeah.
all of them. They're just so kind and, so helpful, much like just like the small microbreweries, nobody makes you feel like if you don't know something, no one there has ever, like if I ask a question or something like that, they've never made me feel
No,
stupid for, like, not knowing the answer. They're just so open and you know,
so helpful.
that's the fine line we walk on as craft beer
Yeah.
professionals as to not, not be mean and be inclusive
Right.
to everyone.
Yeah, and then there's, like, and I will say, and I hate even I don't even wanna bring up their name a lot, but I do wanna say there are, like, like Big Storm, as Big Storm was getting bigger and bigger, we all knew something was going on because they weren't the kind, nice people that fit in with the rest of the community, and so you just kinda knew. We know, like, when you're not on the up and up because there's a culture in craft beer that even Sierra Nevada, even Yingling, all of these, the Boston Beer Company, which is number 3, like, if you like,
Yeah.
this is something.
Boston Beer Company people are so cool. Like,
Oh,
I've met so many of them. Anyway, yeah. No, I know. It's like it's an if you know, you know situation. And being someone who worked there for many years, I didn't understand it until I left. It's kind of like a toxic
yeah.
relationship.
Yep.
And then you're like, in hindsight, you're like, oh, those were red flags.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. I'm still me though, so I can still keep doing what I gotta do, And the rest of it, I try not to worry about it because
And it's one of the things, and again, that was a big thing for the episode last week, but something that I think you and me, especially because beer is our career, what draws us to it is not, I mean, obviously we could sell a different product and probably make more money, but
yeah,
it is that culture and that community that we have both fallen in love with. And it doesn't matter if you're at the top like Yingling or Sierra Nevada or Boston Beer Company or any of them, or just starting out, like a place like Emerald Coast that's, so far, very, very tiny, is that everybody literally looks at everyone as colleagues and equals and family.
yeah, yeah.
Truly, like, everybody looks at everybody as a family, and like we can all rise together. Absolutely. I just absolutely love that. Now there's a couple things on this list that to me really stood out. And one of them was athletic brewing, which is number six.
What are they? They're like 8?
Six.
What are they? 6. Yeah, rad.
And this is something that, I know I have been saying to clients and customers and on videos and anyone who will ever listen to me, you need to be brewing NA options. This is literally the sixth largest beer brewer in the nation. And the
For sure.
only thing they produce is NA beer. They produce it well. It is delicious, but that means that there is a huge, huge market for NA beer drinkers, and there is almost no competition because the only competition that you have really, and there's a lot of other smaller ones, but really what everybody's serving is athletic, which is a great
Right.
product. But
Which is that to say that that's why that they're that high up?
I'm sure that they are that high up because they are that good. Also
Oh, no,
because
yeah, they're delicious. I had one last
oh,
night, the lime and salt, fucking
yeah,
fantastic.
I have it.
But
I've even cooked with it. And this way I didn't have to worry,
ooh,
I could keep the full flavor and I didn't have to worry about cooking the alcohol out. So yeah, no, it's a great product. But as a small brewery, like someone who's super, super small and doesn't do a lot of guest taps and things like that because they can't afford it, make an NA because now you have a locally brewed, locally sourced NA option. And that is a huge market that is so untapped. And so if you're looking to grow, definitely figure out a way to make some NAs because if an NA, a company that is completely making NA beer, that's all they do, is number
yeah,
6 nationwide, that means that that is a market that you should be tapping into as a brewery. 100%. Now, the other one that sticks out to me, and then I'll let you go through the ones that, what you kind of took from there.
okay, you might actually be on the same because I picked out 4. I was like, "We can't talk about all of them,"
Yeah.
but I was like,
So the other one is garage beer. And I don't know if you know anything about garage beer, but they are partially owned, but definitely marketed with the Kelsey brothers. Travis and Jason Kelsey, big football stars. Obviously, Travis Kelsey is marrying Taylor Swift.
I only know about that because of Taylor Swift, so I know who you're talking about. They're sports guys, right?
Yeah, they are football guys.
It's the football? Yeah, okay. That's the one where you throw it and then they catch it,
Yes.
and then sometimes you kick it, but you're not supposed to kick it a lot.
Right. You don't kick it a whole lot. And sometimes you catch it, but sometimes you're kicking it through something. And sometimes it's a whole thing.
There's a lot of hands-on there's a lot of stop and go with the
Yes.
football,
Yeah.
so
So,
it gets confusing, sorry. You'll have to give me a break there.
yeah. Yay, sports ball. So, Garage Beer, obviously, Travis and Jason Kelsey have become very, very famous. They have a podcast, and honestly, I do listen to it because they are very down to earth. They are very real. It is very much like you're talking about, you're talking to your neighbors kind of deal. Like they're not,
Love that.
I love them to death because I feel like they keep it very down to earth and things like that, which I love. However, their beer, and this is not anything bad about any of the craft beers. I've had Garage Beer. It's nothing special. And
Like, nothing special, like it's beer-flavored beer?
right, it's beer flavored beer.
Okay.
It's they make a general lager. It's not any more flavorful or any, like better. It's not like it's lower carb or lower calorie or, more flavor. It's just a basic, it's like the basic bitch of beer. But
Okay with that because the alternate choice of that basic bitch of beer is domestic
oh, of course, corporate,
whatever,
big
like,
corporately owned beer. And I
I
don't
love it.
yeah, so but Garage Beer is number 12. Garage Beer is actually a very they're an older company that kinda just became a thing. They've not made the top 50 probably ever before. And it is and this is what my takeaway from it as a marketer. This is what good marketing does for a product.
Sure.
Because there's nothing special about this beer. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not bad. It's not like I'd be like, this is a terrible beer. No, no, no. It's a solid beer. There's just nothing special about it. There's no reason for this to have gone from insignificant, nobody knows about it, nobody's heard of it, to all of a sudden it's number 12 on the top 50 list in the nation because there was nothing special that happened except for marketing. You got a good spokesperson and this is why I say the Kelsey brothers did something that most sports people, most celebrities don't do, and that's connect with people on a very human level. It's not, oh, it's these people who show up to sports games in Gucci suits and all this because they do, but that's not what they put out to the general public for the most part is I am just like you. Jason Kelsey has 4 children and his wife comes on and they talk about, things that happen with their kids. And she is stereotypical wife that is like, you're a great father, but like, let me handle this, I mean, and so there's just they are very real and they connect with people on a human level and they tell the story of a beer on a human level that connects with people and now they're number 12 and that's one of the things that you can brew the best beer in the world but people buy connection. And if you are not connecting with people on their level, whoever your market is, whoever your target audience is, if you are not connecting with them in a way that they connect to, then it doesn't matter how good your product is. It doesn't matter what your brewery looks like. None of it matters because people I used to work with someone in marketing and he always used to say, people buy people. And I hated how simplistic he would say that, but it is true. People buy the story because there's a lot of beer. This is not any better beer than what anyone else is making. But the story behind the people who are part of the ownership team of this beer is special because they do have lots of money and they don't have to be making a beer and they don't have to be real people because they certainly have the money to not be, down to earth people like the rest of us, but they are. And that connects.
Yeah.
And
No, absolutely.
find a way to connect to your community, to your market, to whoever you want to service, and whoever you want walking in the door, you need to be connecting with them.
Like the stories around beer are so impactful, and so, like, no, and I'm not trying to disagree with you. No story isn't special within its own way. For me, I think, like, what you're saying is that, like, you're taking that beer flavored beer, or let's just say, stylistically on point beer. We're so crazy in Florida, we put extra shit in all of our beer that sometimes it's like, it just tastes like a beer that tastes like, oh, the judges say it's supposed to taste. And we're like, okay, yeah, we get it. It's a pale ale.
Right.
Where's the extra oomph? Because we're, as Floridians, we're very oomphy
Yes.
people. We always put a lot of extra
We want the
extra
razzle
stuff in it.
dazzle in our beer.
We do. We like a little razzle dazzle. We like double dry hop bullshit. But you know what? In any style, right? Just add a little cinnamon. I think like going to like for anybody to be on this list is kind of, magical and insane. And I think there are other breweries on there with lots of money, that maybe arguably shouldn't be on that list. Are they still craft and whatnot? We went over the definition of craft, but in my mind, I don't see them as craft necessarily. But that's okay. I have my own opinions and they're mine and I own them. And I reserve the right to change my opinion
Yes.
constantly. I always remind myself of that. Um yeah, everybody's got a story and good for them. Good for their little glow up. I want to try it. I'm excited.
No, I look at this as a huge opportunity for anyone in the industry, like, literally. And a lot of these people on the list, when you look at them, they are marketing geniuses. Like, they are telling
Let's learn.
their
Let's
story.
do it.
Absolutely. Telling their story better than anyone else. And, like, and I know, you and I, we love our brewers and we love our bearded brewing
Our bearded
artists
brew homies, our unbearded
and
brew
the unbearded.
homies. They're the same. It doesn't, gender's not a factor in beer.
But some,
You still get a little spicy,
yes,
spicy neurodivergency, male or female brewers. They both have it.
and they can be a little like it's just about the ingredients in the beer and it's just about this and it's just about this. And it's like, I love you guys. There's a reason why you should never sell beer because you're terrible salespeople. You're awesome brewers. And that marriage, I think, needs to what this list shows me is that marriage
Yeah.
needs to happen.
Oh, I love
Every
that.
brewery,
That's a great point. Yeah,
in every
absolutely.
single
Every brewery
brewery.
needs, you have to have balance. And like, I would never, I am AD. I don't even know how many A's and how many D's and H's that I have in my brain constantly. I could never, like, ever brew
No.
with confidence. I
No.
say that so confidently. Have I gone to collabs? Do I understand the process? Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
Love collabs. Have I had long conversations about biotransformation with so many different people? Yes. Do I love to learn about it? Absolutely. Would never do it because I would never be able to put the tri clamp on the right spot and or listen to a timer. I just, oh yeah, I would blow a brewery up.
It would.
I would absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind.
So Sean,
But I can sell the fuck out of some beer.
yeah, me too. Sean from Bootleggers one time said, you should come brew with us. Like, I'm sure that you can just follow a recipe. Like, the process, you can do it. And I'm like, oh, no, no, I can. I am smart enough to
Oh yeah,
follow a
I'm
recipe.
capable. I
Do
just
I
wouldn't.
have the self-restraint to stick to a recipe and measure anything, by the way, anything?
Measure with love. I measure like with vibes.
Yes. And it's
And you can't do that in beer.
no. Yeah.
Just the garlic powder keeps going when I'm cooking, and it's like maybe I could add a little bit more, and then if it's too garlicky next time,
Then I know.
I won't put that much garlic in.
Yeah.
I want to test the limits
Yeah.
constantly.
No,
And I can just feel every brewer that's like watching this right now is just like cringy, like, yeah, you're right.
you're right. You should never step into a brewery in the brew side ever. No, and I
But I recognize that they are so talented and they have their
absolutely.
talents, and we have to bridge that gap and work together more frequently.
Yes.
And every brewery job that I've ever worked in, including distribution, which was really fun because I got to not be a part of the argument, but get to watch the argument happen. There's always that chicken and the egg concept when it comes to sales,
Mhm.
production.
Yep.
And I hear about it constantly every day being in sales. And I hear about it constantly every day, with homeboy being in
Uh-huh.
production. So like it's always this constant fight. It's like, well, I have this much beer and you haven't sold enough of it. So I need you to go out and sell more of it so that I can buy more products ingredients so I can make more beer. And it's like, then I go and do that. And then, okay, well, I've made these commitments to these accounts. And if you don't make this much beer, then my integrity is on the line. And what are we going to do? So you have to really find that balance. And then on top of that, if none of it gets marketed, what's the point
Right.
anyways? Because nobody knows it's happening.
Yep.
If you make events and you do tap takeovers or, on a small scale, or you have to have those marketing components in order to make your business successful. To me personally, every tap handle with our name on it is a big ass billboard
Yes.
at a bar.
Yep.
And if we don't have branded tap handles because they're fucking
They
expensive,
are.
then how are we gonna, be successful? I know when I go to a brewery and I see my Sierra Nevada tap handle, like I know that that's pale ale. Or if it's Christmas, I ask if it's celebration because that's the other big one. But there's branding. Branding is such a big part of business. All right, sorry, that was my little rant.
No, I get it.
Um,
I get it because, I'm on the sales side of it too. I'm on the marketing side, and I constantly have that butting of heads of like, well, we don't need to worry about doing a video today because, we just need to be focused on the beer. And it's like, no,
No, I think in every single part of like we're all cogs in a machine at a brewery, right? And so my job is just as important as your job. And no matter how big or small the cogs are, if one of them's out of whack, we can do absolutely every single thing that we do, be the most successful place ever. And then we get a bartender who's having a bad day, gives bad service, and that person not only has a bad taste in their mouth about us, but never comes back in, never, whatever. But
and it affects everybody.
it affects everything. So everything has such important balance. And I'd hate for all this work to go into this beautiful glass
Yeah.
and it's ruined by a bad experience. We all got parts we got to do.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing when we all work together and we all mesh.
It's amazing. It is
Amazing.
amazing. It is amazing. Now, you look through the list. Tell me your takeaways. Like, what are the things that stood out for
Okay.
you?
Just one more brewery that I do want to shout out, which I discovered a while ago, but I love them so much. Is Deschutes coming in at top as number 10.
Okay.
From what I've heard, Deschutes has been really in the Florida market now for a couple of months, but nationwide, really grown over the years. They started doing the Kirkland beer. They started doing the beer for
Yes.
Costco,
Which is Costco. Yeah.
which is like, yeah, Kirkland, right? Costco,
Yep. Kirkland is in
which is
Costco. And it's a
huge.
solid beer, by the way.
So good. It's like a rice lager, I think. It's so crushable. But what I thought was really cool, so I love, Deschutes, I love Fresh Squeeze. I love their entire NA line as well, which they do have. They take the same beers that they make and they make them NA. So I think they're 0.5%, but still same flavor profile, like really delicious stuff. But what I thought was really cool was that going through this list of top 50, and I always try when I'm ordering guest taps at work, I always try to keep it as local as possible. But when I don't keep it local, I try to just, pick other independent craft breweries. I utilize the Brewers Association website because they do have a filter on there that says find a brewery. Uh, and I make sure that because we're independent, because we're local, because we're a small business, that I'm only going to support local independent small businesses, even if they're the top 50, you know, independent businesses across the country. That is a standard that I set within my role, and I hope that more people do that. But so I'll go in and I'll type in if I'm going to buy a beer that I've never bought before, I want to double check and
Yeah.
make sure that they are independent. So the Brewers Association website is a great resource for that. But it was cool that looking through that list, I was like, I've had that beer on tap.
Yes.
I've had this brewery on tap. Like, oh, okay, we support our NA is athletic. We have Deschutes is on right now, and what was another one? I'm
We've
trying to
had
think of them.
Abita
Oh
from
gosh,
Netherlands.
Abita is another one. Allagash, obviously. I've got was like Allagash is next on tap for our next wit.
And
So
Kona.
that was kind of yeah, it was just kind of like cool to like realize within that list that like okay, it justified my own, give me a little bit of vindication there that I'm doing the right thing and supporting as much as I can. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, no, I some of my favorites were on there, Kona Brewing, which has
Yes.
some great dark beers that are like very I love a coconut dark beer which they have, which is the one of the best ones I've ever had. I love seeing Kona on there. Even Sea Dog, which is a brew pub, which I think is a really great, very solid brew pub. So, yeah, there was a lot of really cool ones on that list. There was a lot for me that I could take away for clients to say, like, listen, there is a huge market for certain things. And obviously, we're seeing that. There's a huge market for light loggers, by the way, huge, huge market, which we already knew because obviously in the corporate world, that's what sells.
Full circle. Beer, flake beer, full circle.
And then
Absolutely.
and then we see, and I get there's a couple controversial ones. I can't say that I think Monster should be on the craft beer list. But I do know that they went and they did buy up a lot of independent craft breweries. So they are producing. They probably are because Monster is some of the big under 25%, but still some of the big investors in several very very large like Cigar City. These are big national brands. So I think that the individual brands probably should have been on the list instead of Monster as a whole. I don't know if that because it becomes a conglomerate. So I was a little that to me was the only one that I thought was a little controversial to be on there with Monster.
Absolutely. I mean, but there's lots of, we understand our big monopolies and we understand that conglomerates over time become monopolies. So I would argue that's my particular about those types of things
Mhm.
is that when you have a few places that get together and they have a joint venture, that's a lot different
Yeah.
than when you have a larger company come in and take over multiple different brands over time. And in the food industry, really,
Yes.
really wild, which we do not have time to go into,
No, I know, but I do
in
know.
addition to beverage. But like, it is absolutely insane. You think the monopolies in beer are messed up? They, in the food industry, like all our food comes from the same place. Okay,
Yep.
sorry, I'm not going to go
No,
on a
I
rant,
I know.
but
I was in the food
but
business for a long
it's
time.
3 it's 3
Yep.
branches, and then it's, like, 10 fake branches, and those 10 fake branches, like, they don't exist, they're just fake companies. So, I would love to see that not happen in beer. I fear that it will continue to happen as things continue to grow, and I won't name any names, but there's been some recent selling of different, brands and things like that. What I will say is that, like, a Florida-owned brewery
Mhm.
currently, Funky Buddha, was a part of that in the past,
Yes.
which I find very interesting. Owner sold it to Constellation.
Mhm.
They, I don't know how many years passed. To be completely honest, I'm not like pulling the story out of thin air, but I don't know for the definite how long they had it. They brought it
They
back.
took it back. Yep.
They took it back. They said that's not how we wanted our business to go. We'd rather buy it back and control it again. So I will say there's a vibe
Yeah.
of
Well,
we don't love that energy.
and I don't wanna go into the whole story either, but we're seeing that with Cigar City now too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that is one of those and listen, when these, when a big company like Monster came in and bought something like Cigar City and the quality didn't stay up to where it was and the sales went down and because it was still independently owned, the majority was still independently owned, they could come back and say, "Listen, you're just not doing a good job." And I love that in the craft beer industry, it is one of those things where when the big company comes in, they don't always do a good job. And that doesn't always, like, it does fall back in the hands of the original owners, which I love. And I love that about craft beer.
And sometimes consumers know, and sometimes consumers have no idea. And we're spoiled with lots of things like free beer and free tea. And we have the insight, and it's kind of funny. Like months after something's happened, my brother will text me. He's like, "Hey, I heard a little bit of tea." And I'm
Right.
like, "Catch up on it," like, but oh yeah, okay. So now it's just getting around to the general
Right.
public. So
Yeah. Something you knew about months
I
ago. Yeah.
all I know is that I'm spoiled to be drinking amazing craft beer in Tampa Bay.
No, me too.
Even if it's not from Tampa Bay, even if it's on that big old list from the Brewers Association of top craft beer. And all we can do is support each other and love each other, big or small, and just, you know, back up your homies and do collabs.
Yes.
So as we talk about what's happening up in the next week, if you're ready to talk about that,
Yeah,
I'm
let's
ready to tell you. I am doing a collab. I'm here today at Grand Central Brew House in St. Pete, and I'm talking with Eric after this call, and we're gonna get a little collab going for the 6-year anniversary party for Gulfport.
nice.
Very excited. We're gonna do a little pilsner,
Ooh,
so we can talk some details about that. And then that's my entire week. I get to just run around to different accounts, of course, and like sell beer and
right.
whatnot, but also to meet with a bunch of different breweries to get some collabs going for May and for our anniversary party, which will be June 20th
Is
at Golf.
awesome, and I will definitely be there for the, I love everybody at Gulfport. I love seeing everybody on Saturday. I got lots of big hugs and all that, so absolutely.
I do. Okay, actually, I do want to talk about that for a second because I know I told you and Taylor, but I did want to talk about it on the podcast when your guys. I'm not gonna cry about it. I'm gonna be fine. You guys did your episode last week. I was not expecting that, and it was so sweet. But my owner, one of my owners, Paige, saw that and was just really humbled by it, and as was Savina, Trevor's wife. So she asked if it would be okay if I shared it, and I was like, "Of course." So right before Trevor's service on Saturday, our entire team, about 30 of us, um, took a few minutes away to listen to your podcast, and everyone's in the room crying, and just what a what a beautiful message, and so true, so nail on the head. We're family, and that's what this community is all about. And then on top of that, I get to see you right after this. So that was really sweet too.
Yes, yeah.
I just want to say thank you on the podcast. Thank you both for doing that. It was really nice.
Honestly, I wanna say that Trevor did the one thing that we were at Brewers Ball, Brewers and me and you were recording, and he came over, and he was so excited to watch us record, and that was I had seen him in passing, we kinda met here and there, but that was the moment that I realized how special the team was at Gulfport, and it was because of him.
Because they all came up and they were like, "Look at
They
you!"
were
Like video. I
they were
know.
so
I remember that.
Yeah, they were so legitimately excited for you. There was no like, "Oh, that's just what, she," there was no, not even was there no jealousy or ill will or anything like that, but they truly
No, we hype each other
were
up.
so excited, and to see that and to see that energy for you, that is my takeaway. That's the minute I knew like, wow, she has something so special there. And so when I heard about what happened and things like that, it was just all I could do to that was my experience. And I knew that that was something that people don't get to see, the behind the scenes of like how absolutely amazing and how sweet and how special that team that you've built over there is. And, unfortunately having to see something like this is awful, and my heart still, breaks for them. But to be able to, and if I wouldn't have spoken at that event because it wasn't about me, and I wouldn't have ever made it about me. And I just wanted to be there to know, for you to know that you had someone there that loved you and supported you no matter what. And but what I would have said is sometimes you see someone's light that shines so bright that it's too bright to last as long as we want it. And as much as it feels so dark when that light goes out, eventually you are going to feel so blessed that it ever happened at all.
Yeah.
And that is what everyone will get there, because there is no way you can walk away from that team and not realize how absolutely amazing and special that it is over there, and how everyone, no matter where, no matter what happens in the future and what has happened in the past, the fact that it has happened at all is a major blessing for all of you.
Thank you.
So,
I feel the same way.
yeah, and it's
My heart is like full and it's sad. Don't get me wrong, but seeing everybody was like it's really impactful. It reminded me a lot of like so many breweries went through such a hard time with the hurricanes, but also so many communities, not just breweries, businesses, people so much bigger than just the brewery community, but like what we do have within our community of a brewery is we have a gathering place. And so like we just came together again like we did after the hurricanes, and it was just, before it was Trevor on the grill, and then somebody else. So it was cool. Good to see everybody like that.
yeah. Yeah, and just, your team has impacted me in a very positive way, and you have with each other. So I am lucky to be able to see the light that that team brings out in each other by being able to have this beautiful, amazing partnership that me and you have. Um,
Yeah.
so our life partnership, but yeah, so definitely, and I was so glad to see everybody over the weekend. I have some really cool stuff coming up that
What you got?
I'll probably be able to announce next week for sure. There's some contracts kind of going back and forth, not because there's
What?
no big monies involved, but just to kind of set expectations. But I will probably be emceeing a very, very large women's event coming up in the Tampa Bay area. So
Love that.
I can't wait to tell everybody about that. And of course, just I'm working on some cider collabs because the only thing that I can bring myself to help brew is a cider because it doesn't have to be so exact and I can't mess it up. But yeah, I have some of those coming up. So super excited for all the future with us, and to see Taylor coming back and to go support her this weekend. But I love you dearly. I love that we get to do this together, and I cannot wait to see all the cool stuff that we get to talk about next time.
I can't wait to. Cheers to that, baby.